Okay, welcome back. Glad you could join us. This short little video is really about a topic that has sort of gained that notorious, it's obvious conclusion in the crowd's mind as it relates to what you should invest in. We have a saying here: when something becomes obvious, it's pretty much over, and you can go back in time and realize those periods where things were obvious turned out not to be so obvious after all. This is obviously the Dow Jones for the last 50 years, 60 years. I want to bring your attention to the early 80s. Right here, you'll see that the Dow traded right around 900. Okay. And now we're at 12.5, let's call it. Now, we've been told that the only place to be safe is gold, because after all, gold protects you in times of turmoil, in times of currency crisis, in times of political unrest, in times of high degrees of risk, and of course the big one, the all-time big one, the one that gold standard was created for. And we've been told by the bears for a million years that the country's going to go to hell because we're no longer on the gold standard, because it was going to protect you against inflation. It was going to hold value. Okay, that was the deal. Now, this is gold. This is gold. Now, it doesn't cover 60 years, but it does go back to the 80s. And in 1980, gold was spiking. You remember gold back in the 80s. This is back in the Jimmy Carter days. We were in real inflation. We had 15.5% inflation. Our prime rate was on its way to 20.5%. The market, the economy stunk. People were out of jobs. We had nearly 10% unemployment back then as well. People forget. But see, gold was around 800, and of course it's now, let's call it 1500. Let's call it 1550 if you like. Here is when we thought you should buy gold, and we had it in a direct 4-page interview in Barron's, dated July 20, 1998. Now, if you bought gold back then, first of all, you didn't waste your money for let's call that, 18 years. Because there were better things to invest in, and you went from 250 to 1500, so that's 6 times. That was a good bet, because our data said that gold, when no one wanted it, was a good time to buy it versus when everybody wanted it back in the 80s. Now, and by the way, if you want a copy of that Barron's article, feel free to email us, and we'll be happy to get you a PDF copy of it. It's old, but it says great things, and everything we said in it happened. So what does this teach us here? What this big thing about, oh gosh, you're an idiot if you don't invest in gold? Well, I'm here to tell you you're an idiot if you invested in gold, unless you did it when we wrote that interview. Because if you did it over the past 30 years, you were a loser by many multiples. Now, yeah, but Mike, come on, you idiot. The world's coming to hell in a handbasket, and why not buy gold now? It's going to go to $5,000. Let me tell you something. If gold goes to $5,000, that's a triple. And everybody says it's going to go to $5,000 by the end of this decade. Well, let me tell you something else. There will be dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of stocks that will go up far more than 3 times before the end of this decade. The gold trade is a scare trade. If I scare you long enough, you will buy gold. If I scare you more, you'll buy more gold. But as an investment, here are the facts. Since 1980, gold has moved from roughly $800 to almost $1,500. Since 1980, the Dow has moved from 900 to 12,400. Since 1980, the Dow transports have moved from around 300, go back in your charts, to over 5,000, nearly 5,500. So here's the real question. Which sector, which area of the market really did protect you against inflation and all that unrest and all those horrible things that were going to befall us? Which one really paid off? Think about it. It's going to be very important to you. But I want you to think about those numbers. I want you to think about those charts. Rewind the tape if you have to. But I want you to really think about it. Don't trust the headlines. Don't react emotionally. Don't think you got something good just because it's called gold. I have a saying, if we really get down to bread lines, trust me, the guy with gold in his pocket is going to get shot, and somebody else will buy his bread with his gold. But other than that joke, I attest to you, you didn't make nearly as much in gold over all those horrible events as you did in stocks.